warm, the soil is having enough water always to supply the grape. So the process of maturity is easy. We are just talking about the soils to explain what is the difference. Alors, there on the other side here you have a granite soil. If you have the map here, you have a little map explaining, you see, and here we are going into the Schlossberg hillside. Here you get granite soil, and it's a little bit of soil. It's 20 centimeters of ground, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, and the rest is a sand. And then you get right away to the granite, and you see the terraces here are made to keep the soil, otherwise it runs down. Alors, imagine also these vineyards in a warm vintage, like the clay soil. And in a warm vintage, these vineyards suffer much more than the clay soil, because in clay you have enough water supply. But here in a granite soil, in a warm vintage, the vineyards suffer a lot, so they have to go into the rock when it's fragmenting in a spring with de-icing. So it pushes the rock is exploding a little bit, is fragmenting, and so the root system go into this rock fragmentation. So when it's very warm, these vineyards suffer. So they produce smaller grapes, and the vineyards need to go deeper with older vines to get water supply. So that means in a cold vintage it's the opposite. When it's raining here, they have enough water because the soil is draining. But these vineyards on clay soil, the middle of the hill you see here is a place called Altenburg. This is here. It's a clay soil.
Yeah, okay.
When you get a clay soil, when it's raining, is the opposite. These vineyards suffer from excess of water. So what the nature has found to find a solution is to develop botrytis. So there is a fungus that is developing here on this clay soil, because the soil has too much water, so the fungus is developing. And the producer at the winegrower has found a solution, because we use this botrytis to make noble rot. So in a warm vintage you can have grey rot. We need to have this beautiful sun, you see, at the end of the process of maturation. And so when you have rain, these botrytis can develop slowly in the morning with a little mist and fog, and in the afternoon it dries out. So after 5 to 10 days, the maturity of the grapes makes botrytis easy to have, and so there we can produce a late harvest or Gewürztraminer with a little fat and sweet components that you don't have usually. So here, naturally, you'll understand that we'll produce here more Riesling than Pinot Gris or Gewürztraminer, because Riesling likes light soils, and especially sandy granite soil is a place they like, because Riesling needs much less water, and also the minerality is one of the expression of Riesling. So here you have understood, up to the type of climate, the type of soil is important. Alors, imagine also the process of the producer to what are we planting in this kind of soil. So for example here, mostly in this poor soil we plant Riesling, because Riesling likes this string of minerality and acidity. It doesn't need a lot of body. The upper part here is like a circus. You see the upper part over this little round hill that is Altenburg. The crown is Fürstentum. Fürstentum, you see, is sort of amphitheater, like the Greek amphitheaters. And so you see it's like this, and it's catching the sun differently. And you have much more stones than you have clay soil. So you have more limestone, a little bit of marl, and it's a little disseminated. You see on the left side here, the vineyards are, you have the upper part that is limestone, where you get the little red, yellow vineyards. This part here, this has a reddish soil. It's a sort of red marl. So we plant Pinot Noir there, like it's a type of soil like Pommard. So you get this red marl producing nice red wines. top of the hill it's more Riesling that is produced, and Pinot Gris on the right side is a Grand Cru is representing 31%. And in the lower part it's more Gewürztraminer. But you see the slope is a little different and it's much more stony. So the consequence of this, the soil is filtering. So that's great.
Yeah.
So in a warm vintage we have enough water supply because the stone of clay, of limestone, keeps water in the stone. And when it's warm, when it's raining, the soil here is relatively cold. So, but the filtering process is going on, so there is not an excess of water. So it's a reason why. When the Gewürztraminer there has more a sort of rose petal flavor, and the middle of the hill is more a sort of mango, lychee type of taste, even earthy. Alors, we get 4 different grape varieties in the Grand Cru Fürstentum: Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, Riesling, and Gewürztraminer. In the Altenburg we have clay soil. So we have Pinot Gris and Gewürztraminer because the soil, Gewürztraminer likes a little body, and Pinot Gris too. It's not too much. And there, on the behind the other side of the village, we have a gravel soil. A gravel soil is a light soil, but the grapes ripens fast because it's on the level of the lower level. It's 200-meter altitude. So the grapes ripens fast, and so does the wine. The soil is light, so the wines are light. The soil has a little smokiness due to the silicious soil. Smokiness is back also here. And the grapes ripens fast, the wine ripens fast. See here, the opposite. We are almost 400-meter altitude, 318 at top. So the grapes need 2 to 3 weeks more to ripen. So the spectrum of flavors is not this way, it's really much bigger. And up to that, you have wines also that need more time.
Yeah.
So this kind of wines, we wait 2 or 3 years to release the wine because they are much more complex at that time. I think this is our pickers,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure.
How old are the plants?
Alors, when we produce vineyards, the Grand Cru, with Frederic, we wait at least 20 years to get Grand Cru. Otherwise, we declass in a classic range. The oldest vineyards we have is planted in 1923. It's a Grand Cru Summerbird,
Okay.
and the vineyards are fantastic.
Wow.
But you know, with the American root system, before the vineyards could resist 200 years, 150, 200 years, and the people were grafting the branches into the soil. This is called marcotage.
Okay.
But now with the American root system, to avoid phylloxera, it's grafted on the root system. The American, the French grape variety is grafted on the root system. So the root system is very strong, and the stem of the grape variety is a little weaker. So there is a breaking point here. So after 50, 60 years, the vineyards are more, let's say, weakened by the age. And also it depends also how you handle the vineyards, like you handle people, because it's a living being.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if you put nitrogen in the soil, you overwork the vineyards, then after 20 to 30 years they make a heart attack.
Oh, yeah.
It's called apoplexia. It's the Greek name for a heart attack.
Yeah.
And sometimes the vineyards, they shut off and they die. It's amazing, really. So what we do with Frederic, by putting no fertilizer in the soil, we try to find a real balance with the soil and the grape variety. And the customers also helping by paying the quality. So we are able to keep the vineyards older. And we work on a total of 35, 36 hectares. 1/3 is on the Grand Cru, 1/3 is a single vineyard, and 1/3 on the flatland. We produce around 19,000 cases, 220,000 bottles of wine, and we produce 35 different wines. So
That
we're
is
not
per
crazy,
year.
but it's just a way we try to keep our legacy, and we try to have a diversity in the choices
Yeah.
for the people, because people like to choose. They're happy to choose.
2012 is the good year for.
For the moment, quality-wise, it's wonderful. Probably we'll have a great vintage for Pinot Noir, and for the rest, everything's fine. Production is low, so we have probably a third less than last year, but last year we had a lot.
Due to the
So
weather,
it's a little below normal. It's
and that's a weather factor. Or why
no,
it's-
not only. It's just last year the vineyards produced a lot, so the year after they produce less. Like when you have April in your orchard.
You didn't lose anything to frost earlier?
Everything is a little fragile. 2 years ago we had a very heavy frost up to minus 21, 22.
Oh, yeah.
And last year we had a frost at minus 19 on the 26th of December.
Okay.
And then we had the minus 20 middle of February. That was also very harmful. So the vineyards were fragile, they're still fragile, but after that we had a cold spring, so that was difficult for the vineyards to move on. Because with a very tough winter, the vineyards are suffering. And we were saved at the end of the, well, we had low yields normally because when you have a cold spring, the flowering is really weak. So we had only 2 or 3 days of sun for making this flowering happening properly, but very low in usual. And after that, some grapes produced less because it was too cold. So the cold, the wind, do not help the fructification from different varieties. You have male and female for some vineyards. So wind and temperature is important. So some vineyards produced much smaller grapes, and some were aborted. So you have only small berry called milrandage. And by chance we had a beautiful August. So everything, was below, and after end of August, middle of September, everything was up front.
How many
And,
kilos grape for one bottle of wine?
In general, we have 1.3 kilograms, 1.2 kilograms for a bottle. And that's, you see, that's generally accounted. We have around 230,000 root stocks. So it's something like one bottle for one wine. Average, huh?
Average, yeah.
For classic, it's more 2 for one wine. But for the Grand Cru, it's probably less.
What about the economic crisis? Has that affected your business? Anything?
That affects everybody.
Yeah.
When you are Romanée Conti or Mouton Rothschild, prices are getting up because the demand is high. But Alsace has always been reasonable in the pricing.
Yeah, okay.
And so we reduce the crop, but we produce what we sell. That's quite healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's
the
good.
balance with the pricing is
Yeah.
good for the people who produce the grape because they have a good value.
Okay.
Alsace, you have to understand, is selling its own production, and it has a law since 1972. All the wines are bottled in Alsace. So no négociant from Paris blended with anything.
Okay.
Everything
Keep
is
the
under
business
control.
local.
Yeah.
That means we control the quality since
Yeah.
1972, and that was
That's a
important
big
to build up.
benefit, of course.
The weak points are French market is hold 80% by supermarkets, so the prices are
Exactly.
squeezed.
Exactly. You have that problem, yeah.
So that's difficult. And the other part is we have a lot of small company. So we have not always the leverage to go up to, let's say, from a family business to a family origin business. So
Okay, yeah.
sometimes you have people, in Alsace that are excellent for producing grapes or making wine, but after that it's difficult because the marketing is difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
And with the new generation, we have more and more older people in the business. New generations, a little complicated to take over. And plus point is Alsace is receiving, is getting almost 12 million people every year.
The tourists.
We don't support to It's lunchtime or
Free tasting. It's lunchtime. Yes, not yet. They do another vineyard before. So 12 million tourists, 11.5 million tourists compared to the 2 million of inhabitants.
yeah.
It's the region in France where we do the most sales at the shop, at the winery. It's almost 15 to 20%. And this helps us a lot,
Of course.
to get the value,
To keep it up.
so we can reinvest and
Yeah.
have a
So
proper
that's good for you.
business running. And this is what's saving us in the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Export is a little weak, but we export, for example, 80%. Normally, is people export 10 to 15%.
Okay.
So,
A lot of different countries we heard. Yeah.
oh yeah. They help us to have less dependency, you see, on the supermarket business. Because that's crazy.
Yeah. I can
They are
understand
very
that.
difficult
They
on
are
the
squeezing you.
negotiation. Yeah. And competition, the price is probably halved every 2 or 3 years. You see. At the end,
They
you
almost
just have,
want it for free.
for some wines, you see, you have the price of the bottle and the cork is 2/3 of the price.
Oh, yeah,
And you get
exactly.
30 cents,
Wow.
10 to 20 cents for the
Oh.
regular production. So at that point, when the people need cash, that's okay. But you cannot do a long-term policy.
No.
So in Alsace, we say there is something between 30%, 40% of the people having economical struggle because they bought vineyards, the price of the vineyards were high,
Yeah. Exactly.
and now they get in trouble because everything going up in the costs is difficult. So
prices.
the people try to save for doing the harvest by machines or changing solution. For example, you see this producer has taken a row out of 2 or 3, so they can go faster with the tractor. So they can have a bigger production.
Okay. Yeah.
Voilà. But on the other hand, we have the region in France having the most organic certified and people that are really oriented for having this responsible
Yeah,
attitude. And that's great. So
Exactly.
you see, we have like everywhere strengths and also weakness, and
Yeah.
we try to go along with that. But we're still small. We produce 1.2 million hectoliter. It's around 170 million bottles. That means the surface compared to Bordeaux
Yeah.
is small.
Yeah. Of course.
But we for us it's a purpose. No oak,
Yeah.
small family producing makes a rich social world. Here.
Exactly. Not
Maybe.
just the grapes.
Voilà, here in the village we get 80 producers. 80 producers. The cooperative hosts 200 small producers. And we are here 3 producers doing our own production called Domaine.
Okay.
And this Domaine producer, we have a total of 8,000 family of producer in Alsace, a little less. And 4,000 brings the grape to the cooperative.
Okay.
2,000 brings the grape, 2,500 grapes to the negociant, like
Okay.
Hugel or Trimbach. And around 500 to 700 produce their own grape, where you have the name Domaine. And these people are owning, let's say, 45%, 47% of the total area of Alsace. They don't
very
sell
interesting.
everything, they sell only half of what they produce because they are too small sometimes to market
Yeah.
everything. It's the mom and dad operation, you see, so it's a little. And so up to that, we have a rich and a strong diversity of producers and quality, and that's great. And very creative people. And we are helped also people like you that does what we call œnotourisme.
Oui.
Œnotourisme is good because when the people come and visit the vineyard, see the landscape, taste the wine, speak with the producer, that's something more personal that moves on. And that's great.
Then to
Really
go
great.
into the supermarket.
Yeah, it's what we call culture.
Exactly.
So you see people, you walk in the vineyards, you taste the grapes. When you taste Fürstentum, you see Fürstentum. When you
Yeah.
taste Altenburg, you see
Exactly.
Altenburg. When you taste Schlossberg, you see Schlossberg or Mamborg. And it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It's really
What are the short presentation we can do about the... Do you have a question for that?
very interesting. Yes.
Thank you
very much.
Perfect.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
same to you.
Any questions?